Young drunk.
Listen, you jerk. Robert Pattinson's performance in The Batman was better than you remember, and it's underrated.
Listen, you jerk. Forget about Twilight and listen to us.
Welcome to Listen, You Jerk, a new podcast where we're going to talk about underrated parts of a film. So that could be character, that could be writing, that could be one great scene, directing, camera work, but it's going to be specific because in today's market, you got to niche it down. So today we're talking about Robert Pattinson and his performance as Bruce Wayne and Batman in The Batman. We both took notes. We both watched the movie recently. So let's kind of open it up. The first thing I'd like to talk about is his eyes. The way that he uses his eyes in this performance is incredible to me because he says so much with just two white eye slits coming through. And that can be as far as him either making the look with his pupils and analyzing a situation. It can be the crazy way that he goes from like scared Bruce Wayne to tough Batman real quick. And it's just in here. And this happens a lot of specific times. But one of my favorites is just where he'll shoot a look kind of off to the side like that, and the person will stop talking as if he's commanding the room. But his eyes alone make this an amazing, underrated performance.
I absolutely agree. That was something I noticed immediately. Specifically for me, it was when he was talking to Selina when her friend gets strangled on the voicemail, and he looks at her, and the way they communicate, where he's like, "Oh shit!"
Yes.
Like Falcone killed your mom, and the realization between those two didn't say an absolute word, but it was honestly the most communicative part of the movie, in my opinion.
Him and Selina is where you actually see a lot of Pattinson really doing the Lord's work out there and, you know, acting his face off. One thing, I had written a bunch of things down, so I'm going to be checking this throughout because we took notes. We wanted to do this for real. But there is a part where he has an uncompromising stare, and it's a shh to Catwoman, and it's when they're in the room, and he just grabs her and puts her into this lock, and you think it's a fight. But because he doesn't move and because his lock eyes are stared, it looks deranged almost. But what he's doing is he's protecting her from something that is going to happen in 10 seconds. Yeah. But you don't know that. And he doesn't convey any emotion to think you otherwise, which is like such an understated, you know, performance as a whole. But one thing I think that Pattinson really nailed is he looks like a brooding maniac. He looks deranged. He does not look like, he doesn't look super. He doesn't look like he's angry. There's looks of confusion. Like the best thing he does is he plays Batman as the weirdo lunatic that he is.
Exactly. And it takes that type of lunatic to dress up in a bat suit and run around and beat the crap out of people all day. Yeah. But I think that's something that a lot of portrayals of the Batman didn't get. The billionaire playboy thing, like that's, you know, that's great. But this was early Bruce Wayne. He hasn't figured out that fake alter ego yet. All we get when he's not in the suit is this broken, just deranged, maniacal, violent person. Yeah. As we see when he hits himself with the adrenaline, he goes nuts. He can't even control himself.
So that in itself is definitely a piece I want to isolate because it's the only time it happens in the movie. Yeah. He hits himself with a drug. And, you know, that we know, or at least we think we know, is venom. I think it's venom.
Ooh, I do like that. That very easily could be.
Yeah, because there is a Batman comic book. It might even be called Venom. But it's what if Batman got addicted to Bane's juice because
the serum.
Yeah, he lets a little girl dies because of his physical strength. Like he just doesn't have it. So Batman goes on steroids. Right. And so I took that to be venom, but that's an aside. The performance when he does it, he's screaming. Yeah. And he's not screaming like I'm angry at you. He's screaming like a person that has been overcome with like rage and whatnot, and then goes and tackles this guy clear off of a roof.
It's like when he took that shot, it's like the gates that have been holding him in this entire movie just blew open, and there's like all the rage comes out, all that brokenness, the hate. I thought that was beautiful.
But it's the only time he does it. That's why I'm going to give the nod to like Pattison on him, because, you know, obviously the director, the writer, and have a lot in mind, but when we're talking something as micro as like pure performance, it's that he does not shout like that any other time.
Right.
Not like that, because that is like I'm beating the shit out of you while screaming type of.
He's controlled in his brutality the whole time.
Yeah.
That's when he's completely unhinged.
Exactly, which is perfect because that's the point of it. Is like I'm just, it's like I don't have any brains in this right now. This is just physicality. Right. By the way, we are drinking from Paradox Brewery, which is near where I grew up in upstate New York. It is pure Adirondack craft beer. And it's called Go Army Beat Navy. Parahell is German style.
It's actually a special release for the Army-Navy football game.
There you go. Army-Navy football game. And am I saying this right? Parahells. German style hells.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Parahells. Nice. Anyway, we're not sponsored, but we could be. And we'll probably have a beer as we do this so that it's, closer to normal that we can go with this.
Right.
So back to Pattison. Is it Pattison or Pattison?
Pattison, I believe. Because I always confuse it with Pattison Street. But one last thing on the eyes. This little Easter egg. This is the first time you actually see Bruce Wayne when he takes his mask off in the cave.
Oh yeah.
Actually have the eyeliner on. Like he's actually got the makeup on. Like you see, literally any of them. He's got the dark eyes. Whatever. Takes his mask off. He's just not there. I just thought that was fun. Like we actually see him in his little ninja mascara type thing.
Shout out to costume design and whatnot there, because it makes him look more insane.
Yeah.
He's wearing aggressive eyeliner and eye makeup.
Right.
The other thing is there's times in this movie where he's just in a hood. Mm-hmm. And let's just stick on the eyes for a while, because there's so much, because that's the point of the show. The point, this would be boring if we were like, why is the Batman great? No, we're talking specifically why the performance is great. And that is an actor's, workshop, is their face, is everything they can do to emote and the looks that they give. That's 100% him doing that. That's not being told to do that. It's like, oh, something like this. Right. No one's saying squint now.
I thought the same thing with his mouth too. There were times when he's trying to race back to warn Alfred that there's a bomb in there. His mouth is open and hanging, and he's he's just completely disheveled. He's not controlling his face at all. But to do that with a cowl covering everything but your eyeballs and your mouth, that's impressive. That's very impressive.
I also here, and I'll go to some of the notes here, specifically with the eyes. When he realizes that Coulson is dirty. And Coulson, the DA, when he realizes that he's dirty, and I think someone questions him about it, he looks at him just kind of like, "What are you, an idiot?" They're all dirty, they're all gross. That's a big conceit of this movie that I didn't really put together until the second viewing. Of he is uncompromising in his attitude towards, if you're a cop and you're dirty, fuck you.
Yeah,
and you can see it in his eyes.
That's why there's that part when Selena, he thinks is just a thief at that point, completely flips the script on how he interacts with her. And then, she tells him the story, and you see it in his face. He just breaks down. He's like, oh shit, I fucked up on that one. I misjudged her. And then she even says it to him. She's like, well, you see the worst in people. And he's like, just goes stone cold, and he's just basically like a I know type thing again.
And that stone cold look is confusion.
Yeah,
that's the thing of what he's telegraphing with his face, which I think we should go into next, is not the normal thing you would have to do as an actor in a superhero movie. No. There are times where he has to act like a person who's not confident being confident in the face of a police officer.
Yes.
And it's all emoted just from his face there. I mean, it's amazing. The last thing on the eyes, though, is there's a part where he's in the police station. They're going to unmask him. And he wakes up right in the nick of times. Right. And immediately, starts getting ready to fight and whatnot. And there's two instances where someone says something and he steps to him in a room full of all these cops and stuff. And the eyes are nuts. But there's one part where he makes a line against the one guy who's got the voice that's kind of higher pitched. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that movie. I don't know if you saw that series on HBO. Something about the flag, this flag stands for death. Great show, but he plays Blackbeard's first mate. It's that guy. So anyway, that's more for you out there. So there's a part where the guy says, after these two fights, he's like, oh, what are you going to do? Assault, he's like, well, we definitely have you on assaulting cops. Yeah. And Batman looks at him and he goes, well, how about assaulting one more?
Right.
Or says, well, we already have you assaulting 2. He looks at him and is like, what about assaulting 3? But it's not that part, but right after, when Jim Gordon stops him from going to punch that dude, that he has this look that's just like, bruh.
Yeah, like
I was just gonna kill that guy. What is wrong with you? Right. But it's nothing more than his eyes move slightly to the side.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's like, I wanted to hit that guy and you stopped me, Jim Gordon. How dare you?
That the facial expressions are incredible. Especially when he figures something out in his investigations, like that same thing you were talking about, that side eye that he kind of just like scrolls off. Then he looks off into space, not looking at anyone, and then that's when you're like, he figured it out. Like he knows what's going on now. Like, and he didn't say a word.
No, that's the amazing thing. And Batman is largely silent until he's not.
Right.
And in that, like, you saw the silence, and it just added to the performance of, this is a weirdo. And now at first when he got cast, a lot of us were like, I don't know. The kid from Twilight that was like this weird, creepy vampire who stared at a girl. Well, that's kind of
exactly what he wanted. Yeah.
He's weird.
Right.
And this was so great to see, weirdos representing. You know what I mean? So I'll go back to something that you said. You said in the mouth.
Yeah.
So the gritted teeth is interesting. And there's a lot of one-shot camera angles where it stays on him and he's got to perform. There's not a cut so that he can pick another. It's all in one. Specifically when he's flying. The gritted teeth.
I was going to bring that scene up,
He looks terrified.
He's never used that suit before.
Exactly.
He's never used it before.
But it's almost like confident and terrified right here.
Right.
Like it's amazing.
And it's like he runs up to the edge and he sits there and he like does that like scratch stop and he's like, oh, like, and like he's got the mask on. So you get that like, oh crap, oh shit look in his face. And then even while he's like, unhooking his cape and he's like, getting the suit all hooked up, he's just like, he looks like he's like, oh shit, I can't believe I'm about to actually use this fucking thing.
And then there's an amazing editing sequence where like, he's flying and it's like it's like a GoPro angle is what it's called. Obviously it wasn't a GoPro, but it's where like it's attached to the guy.
Right.
And everything's moving around him. He's going like this and he's gritting his teeth. And there's a part where he's like, almost looks like he has the hang of it.
Yeah.
And then bam, he clips the top of the thing and does that ridiculous flip, which I gotta imagine was done for comedy.
I thought the comedy, that is a different issue, but that's writing. But I thought the little snippets of comedy, so I think you're right. That's exactly what that was. But they were perfectly dropped in there.
Yeah.
I loved that. But yeah, his ability to, something I liked about the movie as a whole, not just his performance, was the realism. And it's so early in his career that mistakes are made, and he's just he's trying to figure stuff out. And I think his facial expressions and the way he brought that idea to life, he truly feels like he's this kid who's just like out playing with his toys, realizing like it's like almost like that first scene in Kick-Ass when he goes like it feels like that sometimes when like he's going out there and he's like in over his head a little bit, and he portrays that exceptionally well.
Yeah, and it's that's the amazing part of the craft is he is through acting somehow movement, dialogue, choices, looks. He's somehow showing us not the hero, but the on his way to being the hero and having to fake a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really challenging. Like he's got to think about, well, I got to do this not as if I know what I'm doing, but as if I want them to know that I know what I'm doing, but the audience at home to know that I almost don't know what I'm doing. That's incredible. Think of the layers. That's
faking what you're doing. Like you're double faking it. Like it's tiered. I thought that was expertly done, that part.
And for the kids at home, watch Air, the movie Air. Ben Affleck in Air during a specific scene has to play a CEO that doesn't know how to acting, even though he himself is an expert actor. Right. And he has to go through all those levels to see it. But it's the same kind of thing of like, how do you even approach that in your mind of knowing all of that stuff and then executing it?
And then keeping it all in one place in your mind, so much so that it seems like it's like it's second nature, like you're not putting all these layers into something, like it comes out together. I loved it.
So I have one that's again about the face, and this is probably this one was the most interesting one to me in regards to this face. He looks like Batman at the funeral scene, even though he's dressed as Bruce Wayne, specifically when that car comes in. Everything changes when he goes to save that little boy.
Yep. That was when he let, because something I thought when I watched the whole movie is, and they did play on it at the end. So when Riddler said it, I was like, damn it, that was my idea. The Batman is his true self.
Yes. And
Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. So, and he's at this, he even uses Bruce Wayne as his stealth unit almost. Like when he can't like just go in his
he's got to go to that club.
Right. So but he'll go as Bruce Wayne, and that's him being stealthy. Yes. Like that's him doing recon. And I think that's part of that part when he dies for the kid, because he's being Bruce Wayne, and you see it in his eyes right before, like, he realizes that things come and he looks at the kid, and you see it, that Bruce Wayne mask slides off and Batman comes right out, and he goes and
you see him, like, it's as he's sprinting forward, you see it for a minute.
Yes. Yeah.
But everything before that is, who is this crazy person who's walked into this? He looks so out of place. Yeah. He looks so confused and strange when he's in there. I mean, and you notice it, especially in that scene, is where I really noticed it, because it's like the look, he's staring at a kid, and I wrote this down, but there's the kid in the funeral, right? And he's staring at him, and it's just weird. It's not pedophilic or anything like that. Right. I'm not saying that. It's just like he just looks long, like way too long, like he's looking at someone for too long to the point that it's awkward.
He does it in that scene where they find, in the opening scene.
He does it a bunch.
Yeah, every time he sees that kid, he's just staring, because the way I took it was, at least, was that kid is going through something similar to what he went through. That kid's losing his innocence also, and that pains him. And you can see, again, back to the face, you can see it in his face when he looks at him, like that hardness kind of like washes away, and his eyes, like his eyebrows come back a little bit, and his mouth opens up, and it's just like that was 2 seconds of scene.
Yeah.
And he just gave us all that information just by looking at him like that.
And then snap.
Yeah.
I'm back.
And we're back in. Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of that certainly is in the edit, in holding the stairs long. But this is not a man who is well. No. He does not look like...
Absolutely not.
He's playing a sick person. Right. I think he's playing crazy. I think he's playing someone who is suffering from an illness. Because, you know, I'm a comic book reader. You're a comic book reader. And most people accept Batman is not well.
No. I mean, you can't be running around in a bat suit beating people within an inch of their life. You can't, like, that's not a sane person.
So I'm going to go through some of these notes here, and hopefully you'll do the same. But what I want to talk about is how fast this dude nails this character. It's in the first 10 seconds. It's in the voiceover.
Yes.
By the way, we've never heard a Batman voiceover, even though every comic book right up here is the little voiceover panel.
Yeah, that's his journaling.
As soon as he starts talking, it's like, oh my, yeah, that's him. This is a person who will be Batman, but isn't yet. The darkness and brooding is there, but there's still someone who's unsure of themselves and still kind of sure of themselves. But the way he speaks, you buy in immediately that that's your boy.
Right. And to what you just said about his uncertainty, he absolutely, like, he says it a couple of times. He's like, oh, the city's eating itself, but I have to, like, maybe they can't be saved, but I have to try. He doesn't even know if what he's doing is a good idea. And then,
I don't even know if he's bought into the mission yet.
Exactly. But then by the end, in that last monologue, where his voice sounds, it's still dark and brooding, but it sounds more hopeful, which I think was a good motif for the movie. You know, him turning from a sign of the darkness to a sign of hope when he's pulling people out of the water or whatever. But that his voice,
vengeance to Batman.
Yes,
and that's the other thing we should remember is he's not playing Batman in the beginning. He's playing a new character called Vengeance.
Right.
You know, and I always forget that. But then it starts to make sense. It's like, yeah, there's no cracks in Batman's armor.
Right.
But this isn't Batman, is it?
Well, I think he didn't call himself
Batman.
Well, right. No one, including himself, he's the one who dubbed himself the Batman. It didn't happen for 2 hours into the movie when he thought that the Riddler had him, and he sits there and he goes, "Maybe this is all coming to an end." And then Gordon's like, "What is?" He goes, "The Batman." And it was Like, that's the first time anyone's called him that, the whole movie. So it was very much almost not like I don't want to say a growing up piece or like a, coming of age piece.
Yeah.
But it kind of had that vibe to it where it was like, he starts off and he in his acting, he portrays this the whole way. He starts off unsure. He starts off making mistakes. He starts off like he can't even control his face at the time. Like when something like upsets him or when he like doesn't know what to do, he's like, oh God, like his eyes bug. He's like, but by the end, and he slowly gets better and better at it, he is starting to feel confident, and he is, he's taking less punches and less shots, except for that one iceberg lounge scene. He got shot like 7 times.
Yeah, he did. Great armor.
Yeah, fantastic. Got shot so many times.
So the next thing is the long walk to the first fight. And then the fight itself, where he's fighting the clown face guys.
Yeah. They don't even know who he is.
Exactly. It shows brutal physicality.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Absolutely brutal.
That guy was down. Yeah. And he jumps on him and keeps
3 shots right to him, but then stops.
And I'm finally seeing brutality, which is what Batman has always been.
Always.
Batman
like, he doesn't kill people.
A rough fighter.
Yeah, but he'll break every bone in your leg. Like, he will. Like, you're going to be crippled forever, but you're not dead, so.
The other thing is he overcomes size. He's not the biggest guy there. The hell are you supposed to be?
Right.
That guy's pretty much the same size as Pattison. But the looks and physicality of the throat taser is scary. Yeah. He looks like a madman. Yeah. It does not look like a superhero, which right off the bat, the first fight is this dude is a psychopath. Right. This is a psychopath who wants to cause you severe physical harm, regardless of who you are, because even the dude who he saved is like, please don't hurt me.
That was a huge thing for me too, and that was I thought set the tone, because he was out saving people. He's out committing crimes to save people, and the guy he saved is like scared to death of him. Like he's like, please don't hurt me.
Wouldn't you be?
Oh, I'd be absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I might try to be Robin personally. No, he didn't. He had no. That shows like how early on it is. I think the movie said 2 years he'd been doing it, but.
I think so.
I think they were right around 2 years after he had started it. But people aren't. It's not like people see the light in the sky. They're like, "Ooh, Batman's coming!"
Right.
It's like, oh crap! Like that crazy dude in a bat suit is gonna come and beat everybody up. Yeah. Like, please don't hurt me.
And even the signal looks shitty and whatnot. It's like, we have a signal now. It looks like shit.
Terrible.
Next thing, the 5 o'clock shadow and tired Batman look that he has when he goes in with Gordon for the first time. Yeah. He looks exhausted. He looks like a guy who's just like been to war and has been for the past 100 nights. It's like gaunt behind the eyes. Like he must have stayed up. Well, I'm sure they did it with makeup, but it looks like someone who's been up for days.
Well, they said in the beginning, he literally said when he gets back in the cave, he goes, sometimes I sleep, sometimes I use my mornings to go back and rewatch. And he takes his eye camera out and he rewatches everything he did from the night before. Yeah. So like if it's important like this, I imagine that's exactly what he's doing. He's staying up and just rewatching everything he did like a psychopath.
And that's casting, right? So that's where you just cast a guy who looks gaunt, who looks beat up, who looks weathered, and he has since he was in Harry Potter, for Christ's sakes. He's always had that eye, that little bit of, I think it's called like a bleft or something, but right underneath he's got like deep circles that are always there.
I learned a new word today.
Good. It might not be a real word, but I'm glad you learned it.
Better than what everyone tells me I have, and they call them butthole eyes.
But his movement or lack thereof is slow and menacing. It's a calculated performance, though. He will stop and say nothing but speak volumes. And again, with movement or lack thereof, he takes legit beatings.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's like, No, it's knocking him down.
He's unconscious 3 times in that movie. 3 separate times he's unconscious. But yeah, I mean, what was the one? There was one where he got held. It was in the iceberg lounge, I think, and he gets held and he gets absolutely trashed. Like then shot a couple times, takes a shotgun shell. Is
that when he meets the Penguin for the first time?
think that's when he goes. That's when he goes in and does no stealth at all and just storms in as Batman.
Yeah.
And that was.
I think it's the first time.
Yeah.
And then Penguin shows up. He's like, "Hey, Easy,
Yeah.
you want to talk to me?"
Whoa.
They go have a conversation. But I remember a criticism of like that it was kind of slow and that he would take forever to get places. That is so intentional, and that is such an acting choice.
Yes.
That is a choice. I'm going to take this amount of time to get there. Typically what you do is you cut to another angle to minimize the amount of time. But in this one, it was like, no, stay on him.
Yeah.
Like, it's like fucking Slender Man coming at you or something like
dude,
that.
Yeah. Like it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it is going to get there.
It's haunting.
Yeah. It's like, oh God, like I can run or I can stand up, and this guy's just calmly walking and kick my ass. Like,
I like that sometimes he's gentle. Like when he's on the phone with Selena, like she turns the glasses back on, talks to him. He sounds like a kid who's been like waiting for a girl to call. I mean, it's very. I know that's what it is, but the way he telegraphs it is like he drops Batman for a minute.
Yeah,
and it's like the little boy underneath.
Yeah.
Who's excited that his friend came back, romantic or whatever.
She called me back.
Kind of. But see, I don't take it like that. I take it more like a sad, lonely child whose cousin calls them out of the blue and just makes their day. That's the way I took it.
That definitely makes sense. Similarly, the last scene of the movie, where they're riding together on the bikes, and then they both take their separate turns, and he does that. He looks back in the mirror, and you can see it in his face that he's just kind of like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna see her again.
Yeah.
And then he looks forward, and then he goes back to ice cold focused like Batman. Like he's
it's
like
a
all right,
puppy to a dog.
Yes, exactly. It's like I look at my dog. Like I can have this cold demeanor and everything, and I'm looking at the dog. I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
It's like he does have those moments of emotion. Also, the scene with Alfred and him in the hospital.
Yes.
That was fantastic.
Amazing.
He played someone that is incapable of showing emotion and forced himself to show emotion. Like that's got that's got to be so hard. It's got to be so hard.
Thinking from an actor's point of view too. He has to start the scene hating Alfred and end the scene loving Alfred.
And telling him for the first time probably ever.
Yes. That you're like,
yeah.
And all during the movie.
Yeah.
And this is great writing. He's saying, yes.
He was a dick to him the whole movie.
But he's saying, you're not my dad, you're not my dad, you're not my dad. And then finally, he's essentially saying, yes, you are.
Yeah.
But he starts that scene with, you're a fucking liar. Why didn't you tell me? I hate you. I don't want to see you again.
Right.
And Alfred, of course, does this.
Right.
And even grabbing the man's hand was like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because he doesn't
5.
he didn't want to. He's not used to. He can't almost.
But he does this thing, and you see it in his performance. You see him change his mind. Batman doesn't change his mind
Ever.
But you see him change his mind, and then immediately get to work on the problem. That's the thing. Okay, so here's my face. Here's me thinking of a problem. Here's me at work. When he does it, it's like 9 different reactions that telegraph all of these different things. Nuanced.
Yes. Yeah, it's very nuanced.
That's probably the conceit of the show. Robert Pattinson's performance in The Batman is more nuanced than most acting we saw that year.
Listen to him, you jerk.
So running through some more things. He looks like a brooding maniac. I can't say that more. In the car, racing to save Alfred, he loses his composure.
Completely
and he's
loses
screaming.
Yeah.
He's saying like pick up or get out or something.
Yeah.
And I think they muffle the sound on
incoherent.
purpose because he can't.
Yeah.
It's just him. He's screaming, and he's got those teeth again, like he's got Batman. That's a weird thing. He's got Batman teeth, where he shows his teeth. Like in a comic book, you would see the white of his teeth.
Yeah, with like the little, like the jaggedness to show like sharp teeth. Like
I think of like Batman the animated series. Like when he shows his teeth, it's like it's tough, it's strong. And he just, for whatever reason, as a choice, is like, I'm going to show my teeth certain times, and I'm going to be reserved more with the lips at certain times. Sometimes I'm going to be like that. It's really incredible. Did you notice that?
So I did, and the way I took it anyway was every time he was losing control like that, like whether he's going to save Alfred or that incredible car chase scene with the penguin, like every time that happened was when he took the adrenaline or the venom or whatever. It was when he was right on that edge of losing control, and that's like the thing about Batman. That's always one of my favorite things. Is like he's a maniac. He's depraved, but he's always just ahead of it in the control aspect. Yeah. But every time those teeth came out, it was like, it was like the beast was about to come out, and he was like, it was like he was strapped to the venom chair. Like it's to me, it was one of his signs that he was losing control and that the anger was coming out and that emotion was starting to boil over, which is something, like you said, something I thought I mastered. I thought I mastered fear. Yes. I thought I mastered all this stuff. But those teeth come out.
During that scene.
Yeah, during the hospital scene.
Yeah.
But when those teeth come out is when it's like he does not have control of them entirely.
I can't agree more. Switching gears, another, one of the most important things in acting, in my opinion, is timing. He's got unreal comedic timing with Gordon. Yeah. And the first time you see it is that thumb drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
try this.
Yeah. It's their back and forth, and it's a two-handed play for sure.
It's quick.
But just the way he reacts to Gordon is pretty great when they're doing their fake fight where they're both kind of moving a little bit like they're talking shit to each other. And just kind of saying, "You got to get out of here. The key's over there. What am I going to do about, little things like that." Exactly. But the comedic timing was amazing, the whole time. Because Gordon's played as a little more, I don't know if Batman's the straight man in that Gordon's like, kind of hyperactive and kind of like, well, what are we doing about this? What are we going to do about that?
He's sidekicky a little bit.
A little bit.
Like something that got me every time he said it was, they were talking about, it was like, oh, Batman's like, "Oh, you don't trust me?" He goes, it's been 2 years and I have no idea who you are, man.
Yeah.
Like, whenever he uses the word man.
Yeah,
every time he uses it, I'm just like, yo, this is like, these are like two buddies, like running around town.
That's exactly right. And also, so that scene you mentioned earlier where he reveals, like, he says maybe it's the end of the Batman. I swear to God, to me it sounded like the Batman, like end of the Batman. It sounded like the Batman, and I was like, right on, the Batman.
No, they were those at first time I watched it, I actually did not like their interactions because it felt a little forced to me. But then when I watched it this time for this, I realized it was like, because I was looking more into what Pattison was trying to do.
Yes,
which by just transitive property, I also was doing that with everyone else that he was interacting with. And it was that I think that's what they were going for, like giving it a tiny bit of campiness. Like, you can be dark and brooding for 3 hours all day.
Yeah.
Giving it a little pops of humor or lightheartedness. I think that went a long way in like keeping it kind of fresh.
And I'll tell you what prompted me wanting to do this show with you was you brought up something in like our little group chat. And you said, how great everyone was as their character except Catwoman. And I was like, I really didn't bump into it. Now I can see it. It's that it's not that she's not good. She's good. It's that everyone else is great.
Yeah. Okay.
It's that John Turturro this is probably his best performance, full stop, playing Falcone.
Yeah.
And, this is, the Jesus. I think this is his best performance I've ever seen. He's scary.
Colin Farrell?
Freaking scary.
Colin Farrell as the Penguin? I literally know it's him, and I look at him and I can't figure out like that it's him. It's incredible.
And actually bringing up both of them goes back to Pattison is he actually pulls off tough guy dialogue. Tough guy dialogue is really hard, especially when you're not enormous, when you're not huge, which he's not in this movie. And that is my con. He should be bigger. That is my con, but he's young.
He's pretty cut. That scene,
but Batman.
The scene where he kind of goes off the wall after Alfred gets blown up, and he's doing all that chalk on the ground, and he's setting up the whole.
Oh yeah, and the back when he pushes the table.
Yeah, and then
got back muscles for days.
Well, but then when it pans up to him from the weird glyph that he's made, which. Again, this is a topic for analyzing the movie, but Riddler and him are pretty much the exact same, minus killing people.
Riddler and who?
Batman.
They're
very similar. But when it pans up to him, he's cut. Like he's like he's got muscles, and again he's young and he's still figuring it out. So I think
I hope he's contracted for like 10 years, because if
he is on there for the next one, I know that.
If it's like a 10-year, I want to see this Batman 10 years from now as that Batman.
Yeah.
Give me and take a break. You know, do the next Batman movie.
Right.
Take a break. Keep him under contract.
Right.
Get him juiced up and jacked. I mean, I know he does refuse to do steroids, which is going to be a problem.
Weird way to phrase that, but
which is going to be no, literally.
No, seriously.
Supposedly the gym that he trained with, he was like, well, we're putting you on the standard protocol for all superheroes, which, you know, there's some gear involved. Yeah. And like, you know, Hemsworth did not get that way with chicken and broccoli. Sorry to burst your bubble. But he refused it.
Right.
I'm hoping in 10 years he won't refuse it so we can see the giant Batman that there is. Although there'll be a whole different Batman too in the DCU, but I'm getting off point. That's my only con of Pattison.
I think one of my favorite Batman like tough guy shit talking moments is in this movie, and it's when the two twins open up. They're like, "Better get out of here. We're gonna get blood all in that suit." And he goes, "Mine are yours," and then just barrels his way in there. I was like, literally I know it's coming, and every time I'm like,
he does it a bunch. He does it with the Penguin. He does it with the cops.
Yeah.
And there we go. Like so the movements, right? There are some dangerous, I'm ready to get in a fight. You and I have seen this a million times outside bars and stuff. It's that kind of fight.
Yeah.
It's, you talk a shit, bro?
Yeah.
What'd you say, bro?
Right.
And then going at someone. And it's like, it's telegraphed perfectly. It's like, anybody who knows how to fight could kick my ass right now. It's that kind of pushing forward, right? But he does it, and the best version of it is in that police. He is outnumbered.
Oh, severely.
50-1.
More so once he starts running and you see all the people chasing him, like that's terrifying. That has to be terrifying.
Absolutely.
Like you got 70, 50, 75 people with guns chasing you through the top floor of Gotham PD. Like he's literally just sprint. That was another one with his facial expression.
Yes, he looks scared.
He's terrified. and then he gets to the edge, and that's when he gets the squirrel suit or whatever, the Batwing suit, and he's like he is scared shitless.
That scene is shot for comedy too. That looks like that should be like John Candy running down the hallway in the 80s. So we're gonna wrap up pretty soon. So we'll go to closing thoughts. But I just want to rip through a bunch of these notes that I took. Okay. He shows confidence, faking confidence, and genuine confusion all in one scene multiple times, which is like a work in progress type of trait. And the reason I bring it up is because he thought of it. Yeah. You had to think about it to do that. Right. And if not him, somebody did.
Well, that can't even be written into the script.
No.
You can't be like, be confident, be not confident, and be confused, and also make it look like you're trying to learn right now. Like,
and as a video,
just do that.
As a video producer, I'm thinking, what did they shoot the whole thing? Supreme confidence, shoot the whole thing, faking confidence, and then shoot the whole, which they could have done.
Could have.
But I'm going to tip my hat to Pattison there and say that it was an acting choice.
A lot of the scenes were one cuts or no cuts even. Like, there's not a part where they could have spliced any of it. So I'm giving
they choose not to, and I think they choose not to because it's like, we can't cut away from this.
No.
Like, why would I cut away from this? And that's like, the dude is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, like the actor himself. That is the most important role you can get in American society.
Everybody and their mothers said, why did we cast this guy? Why is he Batman? He's going to suck. Yeah. Everybody.
He's wildly underappreciated in this role. It should be talked about more. This movie was a success, yet flies under the radar. And the only reason I can think about it is that it's not a Marvel movie at the height of Marvel power, that it's a DC movie that's great, but they should have been great the whole time. They just weren't. Yeah. That maybe people had lost faith. But the fact that more people are talking about this performance is why we're doing the show. Right. More people should talk about that performance. That's an amazing Batman performance.
And we're talking about him, but it's not just him either. Matt, like you, this is something you said in our group chat. Yeah. Matt Reeves is going to pull out great performances out of every single one of those actors and actresses. He's going to do it. But everyone's got a cap. Everyone has a limit to their potential. And every single one of these people, including Selena, is that Zoe Kravitz?
Yeah.
Including her, and I'm the one who said I wasn't a huge fan of her in that one, but I don't care how much good Matt Reeves is at pulling that out of people. Everyone, but Pattinson specifically came to play. He came hard, and he breathed life into a character that was never going to have that type of life. The reason I like this movie so much is because of the hyper realism. Penguin's not a little running around hobbling guy. It's not.
He's a quote unquote gimp, as Falcone calls him.
And it's not Bruce Wayne running around with all this money and using tech all over the place. It's Bruce Wayne trying to figure out his shit. And I think the Pattinson did an absolutely fantastic job bringing that to life.
And by the way, I'm saying Falcone because that's how Christian Bale says it in Batman Begins, but it's Falcone.
Yeah, in this one.
It's supposed to be.
It is supposed to be Falcone.
It is supposed to be Falcone. All right, final thoughts here. He throws pretty aggressive "I'm hit" movements, like when he gets hit. The rage fear. I wrote that down. Rage fear. When he screams, "Come on," trying to get to Alfred in the car.
Yeah.
It's a mixture.
The steering wheel. He's like, "Come on."
It's a mixture. The dead stare after Alfred explodes. When he's just like, what the fuck? That's a crazy good kiss and great reaction afterwards. So not the kiss itself. It's very romantic. It's very sexy. But afterwards, he's like, did that just happen? Right? You could see confusion. I love the confusion in this performance.
It was like it was his first kiss ever. And
it probably was.
It might have been, honestly. But that's what also he's supposed to be this playboy billionaire. Like, I thought that was fun. That was fun.
So I think the two best performances is one, Batman's reaction to the Riddler not knowing he is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Although I would have never been able to keep my mouth shut that long. I would have been like, "How did you know?"
Right.
Like, but he's.
But you see it as soon as Riddler reveals that he doesn't know. It's passing dialogue.
Yeah, he said he's the one we missed, and he's like, you see him like, but like with his eyes, like he doesn't. His body doesn't move, but his face goes.
He realizes he's safe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, kind of realizes, oh, I've got the edge again.
Yeah.
That's when it immediately. How do you convey that? He didn't say anything.
Right. and then that's when he turns on him too. He gets back. He gets close to the glass again. He's like he's standing up tall again because like when he was about to get outed, he was sitting back like shrunk. But like when he comes up,
right?
Yeah, he was sitting there. He was starting to like cower away a little bit.
You're right.
He's like, "Yo, you're like I'm about to get outed."
And then what I think is the best performance in the movie. Learning about his mother going crazy and his father's involvement in trying to get it hushed.
Yeah.
They happen quick, and it's while he's watching the TV, right? Because I think he's watching the TV because Riddler puts it out on TV that Martha had attended Arkham and that there was a hush money thing and that he hired Falcone to kill this guy.
Yes.
Realizes that his dad's not who he thought he was, but he also didn't know about his mom.
No, he had nothing.
Very clearly in that scene. Like, he just does so much with a stare, with a look, with emotion. He's acting almost like he's in a silent movie and is more compelling than the people talking.
And that is such a good play into Batman. They went for dark detective noir on this.
Yep.
I think that's perfect. Do that in a black and white silent aspect. I think that's great.
Yeah, and Batman doesn't. Yes, he's a detective, but he's a hard-nosed detective, and this is later in his life. He's a detective who's like, blood stains around here. He does it in the movie where he talks about the thumb.
He does.
He's like, the thumb was still attached. He was alive. Yeah. Does that, but and that's who Batman is as the detective. Like, there's no emotion. Right. It's just, this is what it is. This is what it is. What's amazing about this performance of Batman is he's figuring stuff out that's either saving his butt or shattering his soul from the inside. Yeah. You know, it's dark, it's brooding, it is not Batman yet. I think that's the main conceit and why I think Pattinson is so good is he's not playing Batman. He's playing someone on their way to becoming Batman who is suffering from serious childhood paranoia,
trauma.
Yeah. And that's when you say it out loud and you see it, you're like, of course this was the guy to do it. Right. This kid plays trauma well.
Yeah.
he just does. He's got the sadness in the way his face is constructed and in the way he delivers it. So, listen, you jerk. Pattinson is a great Batman, possibly the best Batman.
Listen, you jerk. I think that was the best Batman, or at least we will see.
Yeah, we'll see what he does with the Joker, because I'm really excited for that Joker performance. I don't know why Barry Keoghan was getting shit. It's a great performance that you can barely see who you're talking about, and you still are like, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy. I don't think that was in the theatrical cut.
No,
him talking to the Joker. It came out after. Everyone in this movie is amazing. You got to go see this movie. And whatever Pattinson does for the rest of his career, I am going to watch. If you're looking for something to watch where you can see him stretch, there's a movie called Cosmopolis, I think, which came out before, where he essentially spends the entire movie in this limousine that's traveling around this city that's exploding. And he's just this vapid, wealthy, it's like a caricature of the playboy that Bruce Wayne is. Yeah. Excellent movie. That's where I totally turned on him. And then also The Lighthouse.
That was what I was going to say. Mine was The Lighthouse.
Well, yeah, give it as your recommendation. So if you want to see better Pattinson, what do you do?
You go watch The Lighthouse. It's carried entirely by him and one other person. And it's
Willem Dafoe.
It is Willem Dafoe. Thank you. I blanked on that. It's if you like if you liked Batman, if you liked him in that, it's slow burn. It uses color scheme very well. It's mostly black and white, but they shade it very well. And it is a descent into madness, and it's beautifully done by both of them. Willem Dafoe obviously is going to do that perfectly, but I think Pattinson did an equally fantastic job with that one.
And there's a mermaid.
There is a mermaid.
Thank you so much. This has been Listen, You Jerk, where we're going to go into very specific elements of your favorite and our favorite films and discuss them going forward. So we'll see you on the next episode. Please leave comments, like, share, subscribe. And thank you to Yunk Junk and Yunk Junk HQ for making this podcast possible.
See you next time.
See you, buddy.
Young John!